Hello everyone, and welcome as we gear up for the second ATP Masters 1000 event of the season, the Miami Open, and for the first time it'll be in Miami Gardens at Hard Rock Stadium. Of course, it had been in Key Biscayne all those years, but there's a lot to look forward to. We don't have the number 2 player in the world, Rafael Nadal, or Juan Martín del Potro. They're getting over some injuries, but there are a lot of good players ready to do war in South Florida, and let's take a look at this draw. In section number 1, all eyes will be on number 1, the best player in the world right now, Novak Djokovic, who's coming off a head-scratching performance out in the desert in Indian Wells last week, where he lost in the third round to the 35-year-old German veteran Philipp Kohlschreiber. And Joker lost that one 6-4, 6-4. Had very low energy. It was tough to say if he had an injury or an illness or something, but just didn't look like himself. He did end up playing, though, doubles the rest of the way at Indian Wells with his partner, the 15 seed here in this first section, Fabio Fognini. So they still had a run. Those two could meet in the singles competition here in Miami. Djokovic may also have to see a tough Czech opponent in the second round, Tomas Berdych. If Berdych can get by Bernie Tomic, that would be one of the best second round matchups probably of this tournament. Then going down the line, you've got Milos Raonic. He had himself a heck of a run at Indian Wells, making the semifinals, lost to the champion Dominic Thiem, but he's serving well. His forehand is hitting on all cylinders right now. Raonic definitely going to be a threat in these fast conditions in Miami. He'll be one of the favorites. And then the defending champion, John Isner, the 7th seed at the bottom. He's got a lot of points to defend. He had his best year of his career by far in 2018. It's been a little shaky at times this year. He's lost a couple of matches to another tall-serving American, Riley Opelka. But Isner will definitely have a lot of crowd support in Miami. Perhaps the story of the tournament last week at Indian Wells on the men's side was the performance of Dominic Thiem, the 25-year-old Austrian, capturing his first ever Masters 1000 title, and he did it by beating Milos Raonic in the semifinals and then Roger Federer in the final to get that trophy. He was nearly perfect all week. The Prince of Clay got it done on the hard courts. He had 0 unforced errors in his first set of his semifinal win over Milos Raonic. Just nearly perfect tennis. Tremendous power off of both wings for Thiem. If you don't know his game much, he can do a little bit of everything, but he's an offensive juggernaut, and it was just clicking all week long in the desert. So he's going to be the heavy favorite in this section. He could run into Marton Fucsovics, the 29 seed, who had himself an awesome match against Stan Wawrinka last week. Very physical, very grueling. It was 6-4, 6-7, 7-5. I think about 3 hours long. So Stan came out the victor there, but Fucsovics is a fun player to watch right now. We've also got Gael Monfils, who's been on fire. Couldn't play, though. His quarterfinal match against Thiem, had to withdraw with an injury there. Hopefully he's all good. We also see Borna Coric. Nick Kyrgios. Will we get the Kyrgios who just won in Acapulco in February, or will we get the Nick Kyrgios who lost in the first round last week? You know, tough to say. Kyrgios always like a box of chocolates. And then the 5 seed Kei Nishikori will be liking his chances as well. But watch out for Kyrgios, watch out for Thiem, and pretty fun section. Some big servers now in Section 3 of the Miami Open draw. Number 6, Kevin Anderson at the top there. He'll be making his return at this tournament. We also have a couple of young Russians. Number 10, Karen Khachanov. 13, Daniil Medvedev. And for Khachanov, he found himself having a lot of success at the hard courts at Indian Wells. After a poor start to the year, finally found his rhythm. Against Rafa in the quarterfinals, had a 90% first serve percentage in the first set. He still lost that match, though, to Nadal, who was on fire. But Khachanov, you know, it's good to see him. He only had, not including Davis Cup, had 2 wins entering Indian Wells, but he had 3 wins there in California. So hopefully he's got his rhythm back after having such a successful end to 2018, winning the Paris Masters. And then the other big storyline in this quarter of the draw, we could have Roger Federer and Stan Wawrinka, those Swiss countrymen, battling it out in the third round again. They just played at Indian Wells. Fed cruised against Stan, who I thought was a little bit tired and fatigued from a couple of long 3-set matches against Dan Evans in the first round and then the aforementioned Marton Fucsovics in the second round. This time, though, that the roles may be reversed. Fed is coming off a long week at Indian Wells. He just had that tough three-set loss in the final to Dominic Thiem. Will there be a letdown there? I think if Stan is going to beat Fed, it's going to come right now. We've seen Fed have letdowns in Miami before. Last year, he lost in his first match against the unranked Kokkinakis, the young Australian player. So anything can happen, but Stan versus Fed, get ready for that potentially in the third round. Finally, in the fourth quadrant, we've got a couple of young studs in the 8 seed Stefanos Tsitsipas and the 20 seed Denis Shapovalov. We're also looking at the big serving Croat Marin Cilic and Hyun Chung, young Korean player who's making his return from injury. He's battled health issues a lot the past 18 months after making the semifinals of the Australian Open back in 2018, but hopefully Chung is ready. And then we also have Sasha Zverev, the 2 seed at the bottom. Like Novak Djokovic, he had a very perplexing showing at Indian Wells, whether it was a viral illness that was going around the locker room or whatever, but he wasn't feeling well. Very low energy in his early loss to Jan-Lennard Struff. So how will Zverev bounce back? And then he's going to have a tough second round opponent because probably the best first round match, in my opinion, Sam Querrey versus David Ferrer. The little beast doesn't have too many tournaments left. I believe he's retiring after the French Open in June. So not too many moments left to watch David Ferrer do his thing. And then Sam Querrey, he'll have that home crowd advantage. I know he's from California, but he gets that support in the States. So Querrey versus Ferrer, good contrasting styles there, and should be a very fun matchup. Please let me know who you've got winning this Miami Open. Does Djokovic get his groove back? How does Federer respond to that loss in the finals? Does Dominic Thiem go back-to-back and win the Sunshine Double? It'll all be answered over the next couple weeks in Miami, and I'm looking forward to it. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to the Snowman Sports Media. Give me a thumbs up, and thank you so much. Cheers.